Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you've been following along, we just finished my March Spring Fling Challenge. So programming was a little bit different than normal or posting. So I'm excited to be back to regular, consistent videos. Through March, we had one workout go out every single day. So it's not too late to start that challenge. If you want, just go to my playlist, go to the March Spring Fling Challenge, and you can start that challenge at any time. And it's a great way to just get back into fitness, add to your fitness routine, or just a fun challenge to challenge yourself to do something new. What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, did I interrupt your video?
Get out of here. All right, you guys, so in today's video, I'm gonna talk about strength training for runners. This is something I really love because I love strength training and I love running. Okay, so there's actually four main benefits to strength training for runners. Now, if you want to become a better runner, you have to run. There's no getting around that. Strength training alone is not going to make you become a better runner, but I'm going to talk about a few of the benefits of strength training for runners. So the first benefit is that it helps strengthen your muscles and your connective tissues, and that really helps with injury prevention. The second benefit is that it helps correct muscle imbalances, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on more specific ways to help correct muscle imbalances, but muscle imbalances can lead to injury, so strength training can help prevent that. So the third one is it helps improve your running economy, therefore increasing your stride efficiency. Okay, so the fourth benefit I'm going to talk about today of how strength training benefits runners is it increases your power and your neuromuscular coordination, therefore just making you a better runner. So now that we've talked about four simple ways that strength training can help running, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to incorporate strength training into your running program. So when I have my athletes strength train or I'm strength training myself, I really take into consideration where you're at in your training cycle. So obviously, if you have a marathon coming up, you're not going to add in strength training a month before. I really like to start strength training post-marathon, kind of in my off season and my pre-season. I really focus on correcting muscle imbalances, gaining some strength. And then as your miles increase throughout training, your strength training will naturally decrease a little bit. So for runners, I really like to start off, if you have not incorporated strength training regularly into your program, I start with 2 to 3 days a week. Just body weight training. If you don't have weights, that is okay. Your body weight is a great weight and form of resistance training. You also do not need to spend hours in the gym. 10 to 20 minutes each session is perfectly fine. So when you're incorporating strength training, really focus on compound movements. And compound movements are just movements that incorporate more than one joint movement. So a bicep curl is not a compound movement. But if you were to make a bicep curl into a shoulder press, now it's a compound movement. So some of my favorites are squats, deadlifts, squat thrusters, lunges, I think I said that, push-ups. These are all really great movements that are simple and basic, great for runners. Now, another thing to think about is when you are running, you are primarily in the sagittal plane, which is moving in this direction here. So it's really great to incorporate movements in the other planes of movement. So just move in different directions. Lateral lunges, reverse lunges, some core rotational movements. Things like that are really gonna just benefit your overall strength and muscle groups. Oftentimes runners struggle with tight hip flexors because they're always moving, always working, and then that causes our glutes to shut off. So I really like to focus on core strength and glute strength. Sometimes before a run, I'll do a little glute activation warm up. So this is great to do some movements with some mini bands, which I'll create a workout sharing this soon. But look up, educate yourself on glute activation movements. This will really wake up the glutes, fire them up and get them ready to work hard on your run. So that's one thing I like to do before a run. A question I get asked often is when to incorporate strength training before a run or after a run, or when to pair it into your schedule. And I might do a whole video on this later on programming. I like to keep my hard days hard and my easy days easy. This is really important to avoid overtraining. So I incorporate strength training on my tempo or speed days. And typically I do a little glute activation dynamic warm up before my run, and then I strength train after. There's not a right or wrong way to do that. You can strength train before and run after if you want, but if your main goals and your focus are running, I suggest that you do it after. So on your run, you can really give it all you've got for that speed work run and then strength train after. So I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but how often should you strength train and how heavy should you lift? This is going to be very individual to each person. But like I said, I like to strength train, start off 2 to 3 days a week. Sometimes I'll increase it more in my off season. I'll go up to 5 days a week. And then as the mileage increases, you cut back the days. Usually the few months leading up to a race or a marathon, I'm down to 1 day a week in strength training. And then the few weeks before, I cut it out altogether, the few weeks before a race. If you're incorporating weightlifting, so strength training can be just body weight movements, it can be using resistance bands, or it can be weightlifting. But if you are wanting to incorporate weightlifting, I suggest starting lighter than you think with the weights. I typically suggest to do 3 to 4 rounds, start with 10 reps each movement, and maybe pick 3 to 4 movements that you want to do. Start with that. Repeat that 3 days a week and then branch out and increase the intensity and the duration from there. If your goal is to get stronger, a great way to train is through progressive overload. And again, this topic could be a whole video in itself, but simply put, it's just gradually increasing the weight over time. So if you do weighted squats 1 week and you start with 10-pound dumbbells, the next week, or maybe 2 weeks after, try to increase it to 12-pound dumbbells or 15-pound dumbbells and continue that until you get to your goals. Let's recap. If you're just starting to incorporate strength training into your program, really start on your off season or pre-season. Don't start a month before a marathon, please. Start slow, move through the full range of motion. So I always say quality over quantity. If you are doing quarter squats and you're doing them really fast, I would rather you stop, slow it down, move through the full range of motion, and maybe do less reps. So start small, start lighter than you think, and gradually increase. And start off maybe just 1 day a week. Also, don't feel like you have to spend hours in the gym. Start off with 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So if you haven't yet done so, now would be a great time to subscribe below to my channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. And while we're on the topic of strength training, my Spring Fling Challenge would be a great way to start incorporating strength training into your routine. The Spring Fling Challenge is just 5 movements a day. Every day for 30 days, 5 minutes of movement. Includes no equipment, so just your body weight. Someday it's strength training, someday it's more movement and mobility, but just 5 minutes a day to get you in the habit of moving. I'll link it below. You can click there and start the Spring Fling Challenge to start your strength training today. All right, you guys, to wrap this up, just remember that fast runners are strong runners. So strength training is a non-negotiable for me. Every one of my athletes do strength training of some form. I always strength train, no matter what I'm training for running wise. I always make sure that I incorporate strength training into my routine and my programming. All right, last thing, I get a lot of runners that say, but what if I incorporate strength training and then I bulk up and that will make me run slower? The truth is, unless you are eating a huge caloric surplus and strength training for hours on end, you're not gonna put on a significant amount of weight. I would say stop weighing yourself, go by how you feel, and start slow. Body weight movements are so functional and movements that can be incorporated into everyday life. Bodyweight movements, squats, we do that every day. Push-ups, we need to do that every day. Burpees, it's simply getting down on the ground and getting back up. It's something we all should be able to do. It's a non-negotiable. Strength training is very essential for runners and injury prevention. So let me know below how often you strength train and what your favorite form of strength training is. So whether that be body weight, it could be lifting weights, Olympic weightlifting, Pilates, yoga, those are all forms of strength training. So let me know what your favorite is below. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time. Hey, John.